Last week we opened the show talking about the tech industry and its current love for divorce.
Oh, right. Yeah. Bill and Melinda.
This week we're going to talk about new old love. Where am I going with this one, Deb?
New old love.
Mm-hmm.
Ashton Kutcher and Mila, whatever her name is.
Nope.
But that would have been a good example, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I got nothing.
BENnifer.
Oh, BENnifer. Yes.
We're not going to try to get into any like tabloid stuff because that is not the space we occupy.
And we don't have enough information.
None whatsoever. But it is interesting that 20 years later, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez have once again found each other after many failed relationships. So divorce is actually a part of this story, depending on which element of their life we want to talk about.
She's divorced many times.
He's been divorced.
Once.
I'm sure had many girlfriends between 2002 and today. But here's what's great. I remember BENnifer, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez being enormous. It was like transcendental. Like people could not get enough of them. And I was in high school about to go into college. This was 20 years ago. I was 16 going on 17. Here are some other amazing facts about what was happening 20 years ago.
You've done a little homework, I see.
I'm somewhat prepared. Maybe not about the topic, but about the time frame.
Okay, go.
Fact number one.
Yeah.
The Red Sox had not won a World Series in 86 years.
Yeah, that's true.
2002 was when American Idol first premiered.
I don't watch it, so I don't know.
Rosie O'Donnell was still straight. She announced she was gay in late 2002.
Oh, wow. I mean, she might not have really been straight.
Well, in the eyes of America, she was still straight.
Yeah.
2002 was the first year cameras were put into cell phones.
Wow.
Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl.
Did he have children then?
No,
No.
Absolutely not. The slogan, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas," became Vegas's city slogan.
Don't you hate that too? I hate it.
And here's probably my favorite thing. As I wear my Taco Bell shirt today live on the air, the price of a Taco Bell bean burrito was 69 cents.
Wow.
That's all the things that were, I don't know that they were relevant, but there's facts about what was happening 20 years ago, the last time these two found each other. Ben Affleck was like Sexiest Man of the Year. Jennifer Lopez had just broken up with Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Papa Diddy Pop.
Whatever he's called.
Moved on to Ben Affleck. Those two
made a terrible movie together.
They made a terrible movie together, fell in love on the movie set, got engaged, were supposed to be married in Santa Barbara. The day before the wedding, they called it off, and they broke up shortly thereafter. Then for Jennifer Lopez, there's Mark Anthony, there's kids, there's divorces, there's A-Rod, there's engagements, there's breakups. Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner, weird Academy Award acceptance speech, huge tattoo on his back, divorced, dating young Hollywood starlets.
Rehab several times.
Multiple times. He was Batman. Everybody hated him as Batman. Just a whole life lived in 20 years. And then they find each other again in Montana. We have talked about your life, love life, on this podcast before.
Oh, doesn't compare to that. Doesn't compare to that for sure.
I think we've established that regardless of time frame, you have no real interest in going back 10, 20, even 40 years for people. This is obviously a topic simply because they're famous. They both occupy a large corner of their industry. It's just weird to me. Of all the options these two have, they're going to go be back together when they already knew it wasn't successful.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's unfinished business there. But for me, I am totally guilty of overstaying in relationships.
Sure.
So by the time I'm done, that thing that horse is beat dead.
Yeah.
Like, I am done. There is, like, I don't even know if I'm sad because I'm so done.
And you mean all relationships, like business relationships, friendships, love relationships.
I overstay in everything.
Right.
I'm the worst. And so by the time I'm done, you know? But yeah, I wouldn't look back. I mean, I think I can, you know, I think there's that place where people you might have known but weren't romantic with, where you wonder about them.
Yeah.
But if you've already had a romantic liaison, let's call it, no, don't go back.
It's just, it's so foreign to me that these people, let's be honest, they can go 20 years in either direction, right? They can go find somebody 20 years older than them who would happily be with them, and they can go find somebody 20 years younger than them who would be happy to be with them.
And they both look great.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's just so bizarre to me in a world where options are endless. And you're right. I'm not saying that they don't have unfinished business, that they look back on it and say, maybe one of the worst things I did was not truly give this a go, because everything else since then hasn't worked out. And I never took this to its final culmination, which was marriage. But I also feel like they have seen each other from afar. They're still the exact same people. They're just older.
Well, no. I mean, people grow, people change. They're both parents, which they weren't before.
Right.
They both have been, and I'm just going to say, and this is an assumption, a meaningful marriage where, you know, they were committed enough to have children and they thought it was for the long term.
Yep.
That changes you. I mean, Jennifer Lopez is known like a ridiculous resurgence, right?
Yep.
I mean, Ben Affleck has certainly been on a roller coaster of, I'm going to say, professional opportunities, right? And so, I mean, I would contend that they are different people, and that maybe what was attractive was the best parts of themselves that they knew back then. So there's some exploration opportunities.
If you were Ben's mom and knowing that you don't actually know anything about this relationship besides what you might remember from 20 years ago and what I just regurgitated today.
Yeah.
What would you say to how old do you think he is? 45?
Oh gosh, no. I think he's getting close to 50, don't you think?
What would you say to your maybe 45, close to 50-year-old son who's obviously super successful in his industry, who has found love, who has lost love, who has 2 kids? And he says, hey, Deb mom, my mom Deb, who I love so much.
Yep.
Remember J-Lo? So do I.
Yep.
I'm thinking about kicking the tires on that thing again.
Yeah, I would say, darling, do whatever you want. But the first question I'm going to ask you is this. How do you think the 2 Jennifers in your life are going to get along? Because that's going to make all the difference in the world.
Oh, you go to the entirety of Ben's existence.
You got to go there. If those 2 women can accept that situation and those 2 women can be cool with each other, then the kids are going to be cool. They're going to be cool. Live in Miami, live in Boston, live in Brooklyn. It doesn't matter. It'll all be fine if those 2 women can find space, and I'll say grace, to let each other into their new position, if you will.
There are moments in life where I think I know what you're going to say, and it happens probably more often than not. But when we get out of my depth, which relationships are clearly not my depth, you never cease to amaze me by selflessly thinking about other people. Like, hey, how's your ex-wife going to deal with this, who you still share custody with?
Yep. That's going to be the big deal. That's going to be it.
Again, having absolutely no knowledge of any of this, how do you think the 2 Jennifers are going to do with one another?
I think the 2 Jennifers could do really well together.
If you know what I can envision them being? Not best friends by any stretch.
No.
But I could see them having nice moments where they bash on Ben together.
Yep, I can see that. I also, they're really indifferent. Their specialties, if you will, are really, really different.
Totally.
I mean, Jennifer Garner isn't a singer, dancer, all of that, right? And even though she's been in some silly movies, I mean, she's considered, a good actress. J-Lo, I think, is considered a really good entertainer. Fair. Not saying that she's bad in her movies, just saying I think she's a really good entertainer.
Yeah, she's more, what do they call it? A triple threat.
Yeah.
She can act, she can dance, and she can sing.
but she can't act like Jennifer Garner.
No.
I mean, the only movie of hers that I kind of I'll give a little credit to, but then I don't know, there's some bad wigs in this movie, is the movie Enough.
Oh, or she's the strong woman who goes back to seek revenge on her abusive husband.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like if that's on, I'll watch part of it.
But that's probably more for the theme of the movie than the actual acting.
Yeah, it is. So I can see, and Jennifer Garner now is like a young version of Martha Stewart.
It's true.
And we don't see J-Lo unless she is just blinged out. I mean, everything you see, even casually, she looks like she's ready for a nightclub in Miami, right? So they're just so different that I think they could find that cool space where they each can occupy their own differences and own them and be great together and make fun of Ben in a good way.
I really enjoyed that we took a serious look at this relationship with two people who we will never meet.
And three, true,
yeah.
And honestly, they should call us because I think we could create the pathway for success for them.
I would look at Ben and I would say, so Ben, as a guy who flirted with being single for a really long time and then wasn't, and then was, how cool is that to not be married?
Yeah, but you see all the pictures you see of Ben, there's a cute little kid hanging off of him somewhere.
That's true.
Ben is still a dad.
Still a dad, and he still has a thing for dating women with the exact same name, which so do I.
Yeah.
Let's start the podcast.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Sitting right there, the woman who travels more than an NBA player. She's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
Do you get that reference?
I get it, but is it true?
I don't know. And I'm just happy when she can make it here on time. I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. On today's show, in Deb's business segment today, Deb is going to talk to all of us about extraordinary and personalized customer service. Let me say that one more time. Extraordinary and personalized customer service.
Good job.
It's been a long time, but the millennials and Gen Z have finally given us some new words.
I thought about that today.
So today we will suit up and we will play Use It in a Sentence. And of course, we will wrap things up by telling you what's for dinner and what we are thankful for this week. But first, this podcast was started during a pandemic. This podcast will always touch on where we are in the pandemic. Late last week, the CDC came out and said all of the Americans who have been vaccinated, vaccinization, vaccination, all of the people who have received the vaccine and have waited their 2 weeks can now essentially function in the real world without a mask. On the one hand, I say, awesome. That's great. That's the reward we all get for putting ourselves out there, for getting this shot, for making our friends and family safe, and for hopefully mitigating the spread. On the other hand, I say, well, nobody anytime is ever going to wear masks again.
It's so hard because somebody posted something the other day and that said, I haven't had a cold or the flu or anything in 15 months, which is true in our household.
Yep.
We've had a few little allergy things, but nobody has really been sick like that.
Not even a little bit.
And so hand sanitizer, keeping a distance, and a mask seem to really do the job. Right? And so it goes back to if we just practice that kind of, especially during, cold and flu season, like, wouldn't that make all the difference? I mean, which the answer to that is it would.
Of course.
Yeah.
We watched the news the other night and it said there was 2,000 cases of the flu. 2,000.
I know.
I think there's 2,000 cases of the flu in Sam's Club when I go there during the holiday season. So the fact that we were able to suppress that to that level should show the population that we can pretty much do anything if we're hygiene aware. I don't have a concern as much as I'm just curious when you make a blanket statement like, you don't have to wear a mask if you have the vaccination. What you're saying is you have to have some, what's the word, policing, right?
The problem is that that's the honor system.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The honor system, meaning I have my vaccinations, I'm comfortably not going to wear a mask. If these people who are wearing masks are doing so because they just feel more comfortable with masks, great. Or because they haven't had their vaccination, then great. You're a law-abiding citizen too. That gray area is now, well, I didn't get vaccinated, nor do I want to wear a mask, thus I'm not going to. And there's no judgment from that. I'm just curious from a political PR standpoint, when you make that declaration, are you not so subtly saying we're kind of ridding ourselves from this pandemic etiquette?
Well, Dad said the other night, and he thinks a little bit different on some of this stuff than you and I do. We're not going to say what he thinks, but he did say, I said, the people that got vaccinated and that have really been diligent about masks are probably going to keep wearing them inside a store. Do you know what I mean? And, the others who didn't get vaccinated possibly will be the ones that take their masks off. And Dad said, well, then they're the ones that are going to continue to get sick. And so I think there's just some of that, right? Where, it is the honor system. It's personal responsibility. If you really don't want to get sick and you really want to know that you did your very best for your family and your loved ones in your community, then continue to behave in a responsible manner, But what I just don't want to see is I am just tired of this being a political issue. To me, it is a health issue only.
It's a humanity issue.
And I just don't want to I feel like we're in that place now where somebody told me they went into the grocery store and there were quite a few people not wearing masks. I don't want there being masks screaming at each other. That'll just take me over the edge. I can't, that's crazy. We were affected by somebody in our household who had a very seriously compromised immune system. He had chemo twice and radiation once this year. And so you and I took our responsibility very seriously. Dad took his responsibility to himself a little less seriously.
True.
But we took it very, very seriously. We didn't want to be responsible for bringing something home. So I think that affected us as well. So, we'll see.
Our stance as a podcast is be kind to one another. Use the honor system when applicable. Keep each other safe. Now, rant over. Here's my just question as it relates to you as a person. I have grown comfortable with this mask. I enjoy the mask. I have been told by women that they love it even more. So many women have told me, mask on, sunglasses on, I'm invisible.
Oh, look like $1 million. Yeah.
And on top of that, they have said, what would you rather do? Put on a face full of makeup or a mask to go run errands?
Yep.
So, as a woman, do you see yourself fully getting rid of the mask or still incorporating it in your life moving forward? Because I fully expect to use the mask moving forward. If you told me, hey, wear a mask, wash your hands, you're not going to get sick, sold. But I also like the anonymity of it. My height makes that somewhat difficult to hide. But the wearing a mask, I see the benefits of.
So, I don't go, you and I both get up and shower and look fine for the day. So I put makeup on most days, but I don't wear a mask. To the grocery store or something. I don't wear a mask this is our work environment, right?
Right. It would be weird if we were wearing masks around the house.
It would be weird. So, but I will say this, the first time I flew, I put moisturizer on my face and then I went to put makeup on. And I went no way. And I put a little bit of eye makeup on and just put the mask on. And it felt incredibly freeing. Now, when I got to the other end and somebody was going to pick me up at the airport, I put on a little lipstick and a little blush in the bathroom and then went on my way.
In the bathroom on the airplane or in the airport?
In the airport.
Got it.
In the airport. But yeah, that felt great because I just think makeup and a mask is too much for your skin. No breathing at all.
Yeah, the only time I wear a mask that I legitimately dislike wearing a mask is when I work out. And I wear one of those high altitude training masks that make me look like Bane from Batman. And it's a good mask because it doesn't press against your nose and doesn't press against your mouth. So you're not like sucking in fabric.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something and exerting a lot of effort, it creates so much heat in that area that it then feels almost difficult to breathe. So removing that, I'm very looking forward to because I just feel like I can function better as a human being. Every other aspect of life, I see the benefit of a mask. I would choose a mask over not wearing a mask.
Well, and I want to say the one part of you that would show would be your forehead. And today you were questioned by a young woman as to whether or not you got Botox in your forehead.
It's true.
And you had to insist that you didn't.
She's a great friend and coworker, professional colleague. And she listens to the podcast and she's a couple weeks behind and she said, tell me about your skincare routine. And I told her about it. And she said something to the effect of like, are you a Botox bro?
Oh, there's a thing?
Something like that. She said something like that. She's very witty like that. And I said, no. She goes, your forehead is way too flat, or what's the term?
Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't wrinkle.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's not very expressive, but you can wrinkle.
She said, move it for me. I said, you want me to furrow my brow? She said, yeah. And I did it. She's like, oh, okay. She didn't believe that I wasn't taking needles and jabbing them into my forehead. Little did she know I hate needles, as expressed on this podcast by the fact that you and many other people enjoy watching the needle go into your arm like Hannibal Lecter.
So the other night we were watching, it was just something on the news where they showed person after person after person getting shots.
Shot.
And you were like, look at them looking at it. The ones that would look at it.
No, this is what I said.
Crazy.
I said, why am I watching needles going in people's arms? This is horrific. Yeah. So needless to say, come to find out, while wearing a mask, my best feature is my smooth forehead.
Forehead, yep.
And obviously my beautiful, luscious locks.
Yes, of course.
Little did I know, I became better looking when I covered my face.
We could go down a bad rabbit hole with that. Yep.
But I mean, I would be curious to hear what everybody else's stance is on masks. Like politics aside, I don't care about where you stand politically with it. Whether your state is going to continue to enforce the mask mandate, or whether your state is going to follow the CDC stuff and say, hey, if you're vaccinated, don't wear it if you are. Or if you're vaccinated, don't have to wear your mask. If you're not vaccinated, you still have to wear your mask. I would love to hear what people are going to do moving forward, because there is this kind of reprogramming that comes with it where you have to say, well, I'm not going to wear a mask forever in every aspect of my life.
Right.
So, hey, get over this initial fear and start taking it off. But there is, I don't know, just an emotional benefit to wearing it and being like, well, I felt safe then. I still feel safe now. At some point I might take it off and never put it on again, but it's doing what it needs to do today.
Certainly not going to go around the house and throw all the masks away.
No.
Never believed that I would collect as many as I currently have, but not going to throw them away.
No, my only frustration with myself when it came to masks is I didn't find like the matchy match masks that you could use with, your own outfits.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are just on the ball, like floral print masks to go with their floral print t-shirt. And you're just like, oh, that's so smart.
Is it
so fashionable?
Is it too matchy match?
No, I love it.
Oh,
because
okay.
that person says, not only do I care about humanity, I care about my style.
Well, we could go down to Connie the seamstress and she could make you matchy matchy.
Hey, Connie, no free ads. Okay, that was a glimpse into the pandemic through the not so educated eyes of Kevin and the wisdom of Deb.
Oh, that's sweet.
Did you think I was going to say something bad?
I did think you were going to say
something
bad.
To be fair, I just couldn't think of the word wisdom.
I don't really have any mask wisdom, so it's very generous as well.
I just couldn't pull wisdom out of my big dumb brain. Deb, in your business segment.
Yeah.
We've talked about the importance of customer service.
We have.
We've talked about how customer service can make or break any profession. What we haven't talked about is what extraordinary and personalized customer service is. I like to call it XP.
Just putting a little thing on
extraordinary, personal, XP.
So when I say personal, I don't mean personalized necessarily to the customer. I mean, if you are the customer service professional, what you feel you can do that is your own little signature.
Oh, you mean like a little calling card?
Like a little calling card, which Kevin, while you never know what I'm going to talk about. That is a perfect segue to what I'm going to talk about. So thank you. So
See, sometimes I know what she's thinking about. When it comes to relationships, I'm a blank slate.
So a friend colleague sent me a little video.
Hey, friend colleague.
A
frolic.
Stop.
Sorry.
Just stop. Sent me a little video, and it was called, what was it called? Something like Johnny the Bagger or something like that. And so it was a grocery store story where the CEO of the grocery store, the president of the grocery store came in and really talked about like all of you are empowered to do meaningful things for our customers. Like like put your signature on, whatever you want to do, let it be your thing.
Your little flair. Because
when it comes from you, when you've designed it, rather than us telling you what to do, right? It's much, much, much more meaningful. So Johnny was apparently, they had a program where they would hire people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And Johnny apparently had Down syndrome and he couldn't think of what he could do. And so he went home and he was trying to think of things and he'd read some little quote that made him feel good, right? So what he did is every day, Johnny found a quote of the day. It was very positive. He cut them all, just like out. He put his name from, Johnny the Bagger. That's what he said. And so then as people went through his line, he dropped a quote in their bag.
So like he printed out on physical paper this quote that he probably could print like 20 times on a piece of paper, cut out all of them. And every time he was finished bagging somebody's groceries, he would put the quote in there.
So, and then he had Johnny the Bagger on the back, so they would know who gave it to him.
Amazing.
So like his dad helped him do it. It was a real, it was a cute little project. So one day the store manager sees that there's a really long line, calls for more cashiers, and they come and nobody goes to their lines.
Cute.
Because they want to be in Johnny's line, right?
Johnny B.
And so the manager then says something to the CEO, and the CEO was like, yes, this is what this is it. This is what I'm talking about. And so then they got some testimonials from people. And one woman said, I actually used to split my grocery shopping between kind of you and another store that's actually closer to my house. But she goes, no more. Every time I come by here, I stop and just buy a little something just to go through Johnny's line because it makes my day.
So cute.
And that's the kind of thing too, where I think people don't realize it makes Johnny's day first and foremost.
Of course.
Johnny makes somebody else's day. And then those people are so happy, it comes back to Johnny. So it refuels him to keep doing it. And then they also, the ripple effect, they take it somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Somebody else is the recipient of Johnny doing this thing. So shortly after that, the girls in the floral department were like, okay, Johnny can't get all the attention.
Right.
So in the floral department, stems break, stuff happens. They started making little corsages and boutonnieres out of the broken flowers, and they will just go around and find somebody like, some sweet little old guy and pin a boutonniere on him and just say, have a good day. And, put a corsage on a woman.
So they're hand making corsages and boutonnieres out of broken flowers.
Which would have been thrown away.
And then while people are shopping, they're just saying, hey, Mr. or Mrs., would you like a boutonniere or a corsage? Who says no to that?
Nobody says no to that. And then the girls pin it on them. Right. So I just think number one, I think we can't, there's two lessons here. Johnny's thing was so personally Johnny. Like you and I might not have been able to carry that off, but Johnny's sweet personality did.
Because that was wholly organic.
And signing it Johnny the Bagger is just like so great.
It's great.
Right?
It's perfect.
And then the flower girls being inspired by that, like we're taking the garbage and we're making something out of it,
Right.
And then just that sweet, I think there's something so sweet about somebody pinning a corsage on you. It's not something we do for ourselves, right?
Right.
And then you walk out and someone says, why do you have a corsage on, right? And you get to tell the story.
Yep.
I mean, it's so great.
You could put a group of marketers in a room together for a day and nobody would think of something like that.
Nobody. So that's what I'm talking about, is the personal piece isn't about personalized for the customer. It's personalized to what they can do. So it's personalized by the customer service person. So I had a Zoom class yesterday with
not to be confused with a Zumba class yesterday.
Not to be confused with that. And one of the things we were talking about is like, what do you feel? Like, what can you do? And most of these were, medical front office people. And I mean, it was just great. Some of the answers, I gave them my cell phone number. I made them text me. So it was super fun and interactive on the Zoom. But, it was things like one girl just said, I ask every client, just tell me something fun about yourself.
I do that too.
Do you?
Yeah.
And she said, and then I put it in the CRM system. So like everybody knows, right? And another girl said, we always ask, a lot of times in our practice, they serve a lot of older people. So if a son or daughter, somebody younger comes in to get something, we always ask about the mom or dad, And recently they had asked a daughter, she brought her dad's hearing aids in to get them cleaned. And they said, hey, where's your dad? How's he doing? Dad had just gone into hospice. And so while they were cleaning the hearing aids, one of the girls printed out a big giant picture of a sunflower and then ran around the office really fast, and everybody signed a note to him.
Cute.
They gave it to the daughter to take to him. And like 3 weeks later, he comes walking in and they're going like, and he said, no, I've still got cancer, but apparently I've rallied and I've moved back home. And I just wanted to thank you. I've now got the sunflower on my refrigerator and, it meant the world to me. So I think there are these things that we can find if we're customer service people that are unique to our giving.